السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Before I start my khutbah, I'd like to remind what I said 3 weeks ago, the way we sit and the fact that we shouldn't be using our phones. إن الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونشكره ونستعين به ونسترشده ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وقائدنا ومرشدنا وحجتنا وشفيعنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة. عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله وطاعته وأحثكم على التمسك بهدي قرآنه وسنة نبيه. فقد قال الله جل من قائل: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. صدق الله العظيم. My dear children, brothers and sisters, some time ago I did share the sad reality that I have been meeting right here in my office with young people, men and women, who spoke with complete disclosure of facts that their connection with their faith, with Islam, is not as strong as it used to be. Few of them even went all the way to say, I don't feel that Islam is my faith anymore. And I had a couple of cases where the individual indicated that I consider myself either an agnostic or an atheist. I tried to help as best as I could. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows whether I succeeded or not. Before I go any further, please sit properly. Don't have your feet facing the Qibla. Now, I wanted to take this to an academic level. I wanted to study this phenomenon. I did not want to speculate because it's such a serious issue that if we don't do properly, we may wake up one day and find what other religious communities are already dealing with. There are many of them putting their places of worship for sale. And don't ever think that, no, this will never happen to us, we are immune. Many things around us showed us that we are not immune to anything that happens outside the borders of our community. We have to be very careful. So in my studies, I came across some scary statistic that made my resolve even stronger. And that statistic found in a journal called Religion, Brain, and Behavior. I repeat so that those who want to go and check it out for them will read in detail. Religion, Brain, and Behavior. That statistic is, among other communities that were studied, 23% of Muslims in North America, that is the USA and Canada, do not identify with Islam anymore. They were born Muslim, but they do not identify with Islam anymore. 23%, close to a quarter of Muslims in North America. And there was a study that surveyed more than 5,000 participants. And that study wanted to find out what leads individuals to declare atheism, agnostic attitude, lesser faith after being born into a certain faith tradition. What leads Muslim youth to say, we are not identifying with Islam? What's the cause? So let me share with you the 4 top reasons. And this is not emotional, this is factual, based on scientific research. Number 1, and by the way, all top are family related. All top are family related. Number 1 is conflict between husband and wife, father and mother, that the children witness with their inability to say, please stop fighting, we don't like that. And they interpret that conflict as the Islam that being professed by their parents is not strong enough to keep holding them together. So the credibility, as mentioned in the article, of Islamic way of life dwindles. Conflict between parents that the children are witnessing unabated. Number two, the exponential rise in divorce rate. Especially when the divorce case back and forth is taking a long time in the courts, and the children are now in the teenage years going into early adulthood. That is the most impactful time when divorce can destroy the faith of those children. So imagine between 13 years of age to 21, if there's a divorce case, it's a destruction of their faith. That's number two. Number three, we thought, no, Muslims don't have that. And I'm not saying that all circumstances leading to number three are to be condemned. No, there are circumstances that we cannot avoid. And that is the rise in single parent families, where there's an absence of a role model, whether the father or the mother, that the girl or the boy has to identify with. They disappear from their lives, and they are basically, jumping between households with the father, with the mother. They don't know who to follow. And already the father and the mother are in conflict. So the children's loyalty to shape their faith in the future is destroyed, is compromised. That is scary. And number four, a phenomenon that we can't escape, when one of the couple, husband or wife, is not of the Islamic faith. The study talks is not of the same faith tradition. In our case, it's not of the Islamic faith. The children grow in a household which is not homogeneous. They don't know what is right, what is wrong. And I'm not here judging that one is right, one is wrong. We know as believers that Islam is the way, but we're not judgmental. But when it comes to a family, it's a different story. We know that one equation where the husband is not Muslim is unlawful Islamically. And I mention that unapologetically. I don't apologize for that. This is our deen. But if it is the wife who is not Muslim, I tell you, I get many cases. They want to get married, and I tell them, listen, according to Shara, we can eventually do that. But you have to bear the consequences. And many of them start to think really seriously. Because if you build a family where there's a tug of war after that phase of infatuation is over, and then is it Christmas or Eid? Is it Halloween or no Halloween? Is it this or that? The children, rest assured, are going to choose the easiest alternative. And quite often, when they find that Islam is demanding, and by the way, when I say demanding, it's not overwhelming, because if you grow in the faith, understanding and loving, those practices, then things are easy. But the case is, in those families, it's a different story. So brothers and sisters, these are the causes. Top 4 are family related. And when parents, listen, this is what the article concluded, that parents claim to the faith of Islam, which is not supported with their behavior, like the parents say, did you pray? And the children notice that the parent never woke up for Fajr to start with. Why are you yelling at me? Why are you asking me to pray? If you miss your prayers, don't ever tell a lie. And the parent, when someone calls me, don't tell them I'm not here. Well, you just lied to me. How come you're asking me for something that you don't do? So the article concluded that with this statement that I mentioned before, but it wasn't from this article. The article said that parents who talk the talk and fail to walk the walk are responsible for their children abandoning their faith. And by the way, that 23% of those who don't identify with Islam, guess over what period of time it was determined. Over 20 years. So statistically, if we extrapolate, let's think, in 50 years from now, would you like to have 60% of our generations, future generations, say, oh yes, our parents used to be Muslim? Would you like this center to be put for sale? Now we answer this, God forbid. Obviously, God forbid. But what are we doing so that God will forbid? إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. We should seriously try to catch up before it is too late. I mentioned at the beginning of Al-Muharram, when I mentioned the 5 challenges, in my estimation, of what we are facing as Muslims in this community and beyond. One of them was the threat to the family. And this is a major threat, let alone parent-children conflict, let alone, other things that the families are, the working mother and the father not liking it, or the father not spending enough, or the family is wanting those material 6-digit incomes, or so many challenges related to the family. But to abandon the faith, what did Umar ibn al-Khattab make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? وَلَا تَجْعَلْ مُصِيبَتِي فِي دِينِي. Ya Allah, he said, don't make my major loss in my deen. Because when I lose my deen, I lose everything. Because we are passing through this dunya not to stay in it. We are passing to get to our destination. And if you don't drive properly on as-sirat al-mustaqim with your children in your vehicle, don't let alien values change things for us. I remember, I grew up in a family, even if you are 30 years old and you still did not get married, you're still living with your parents. Now our children are saying, oh, I'm 18, my friend is renting an apartment, I'm going to work, and so let the family stay together. And in the same article, 3 top causes of families breakdown. Number 1, not spending enough time at home. Parents are busy either working or entertaining outside the house. Number 2, you guessed it. I know you guessed it. I know for sure. And that is the stupid phones, not smartphones. Those are breaking the family, and there's no time anymore for parenting because we are checking what's on TikTok. We are checking Instagram. We are checking our news feed. We are checking our messages. We are checking except our children. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, as related by Abu Dawood, told us, remember, before I tell you what he told us, you'll say, yes. He's going to mention كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Exactly. All of you are shepherds and responsible for your flock. الرجل راع في أهله وهو مسؤول عن رعيته. والمرأة في بيت زوجها وهي مسؤولة عن رعيتها. Everybody has a responsibility. We are responsible for others, and we will be, rest assured, we will be asked. We will not be asked about what paycheck did you bring to your family. We will be asked, what did you leave as a legacy when you are gone towards the hereafter? We will be asked about that. And you know, in Surah Al-Anfal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained, the two things that He made as a zina. Do you remember? In Surah Al-Nisa and in Surah Al-Mumtahana, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, Al-malu wal-banuna zinatul hayat al-dunya. Wealth and children are the sources of pleasure in this dunya. But at the same time, wealth and children are the sources of pleasure. Two things, sources of pleasure. But at the same time, in Surah Al-Anfal, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ فِتْنَةٌ وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ. You should know that the same two sources of pleasure are two sources of sedition. They are challenges for you. So if you don't handle them properly, it'll be a major loss. And here I will stop at, that note of major loss. Did you read Surah Al-Kahf today? If not, you will be reading it before Maghrib, and towards the end. هل ننبئكم بالأخسرين أعمالا. Please go and read it, please. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of Surah Al-Kahf is asking us, would you like me, Allah, to tell you about the real losers? Go and find out. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فيا فوز المستغفرين. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our dua. الحمد لله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My dear brothers and sisters, parenting is so precious that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enjoined upon us to hold our parents in very high esteem. After enjoining upon us to maintain Tawheed, He enjoined upon us to take the best care of our parents. Why? Is it because they provided for us physical needs? Is it because they provided us company? Is it? No. It's because of that sacred task of raising us to be who we are today, provided who we are is the best stage of faith. Go and check Surah Al-Ahqaf. ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه إحسانا حملته أمه كرها ووضعته كرها وحمله وفصاله 30 شهرا حتى إذا بلغ أشده وبلغ 40 سنة قال رب أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي. نعمة. To be a good, faithful individual is a نعمة. رب أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه. What's next? وأصلح لي في ذريتي. In exchange for the favor that my parents did a wonderful job getting me to this stage, I ask you, Allah, to help me to do as good a job on my children as they did on me. That's the equation. That's the equation. Nothing in this life, wallahi. هل ننبئكم بالأخسرين أعمالا الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا وهم يحسبون أنهم يحسنون صنعا. That these are the real losers who really think that, I'm, exiting this life with security, financial security for my children. They don't have to worry. Even if they are out of work, if they lose their job, if they have enough to carry them for generations. You think so? You're still a loser. Those who really lost their way while they think that they've done the best job. Let us hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help us to catch up before it's too late. You know, if you were advised by your car mechanic to please do yourself a favor and to change the brakes on your car, please go and listen to him, if he's an honest mechanic, that is. And don't wait for a fatal accident. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وخطايانا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم علمنا من ديننا ما جهلنا وذكرنا مما نسينا وكن معنا ولا تكن علينا. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.